Welcome to the Blooming League of Original Podcasts.
G'day and welcome to an extra gobby edition of Thrash and Treasure, the torture chamber musical comedy podcast, which defines bloop as a noise everybody heard from the Pacific Ocean in the 90s. And speaking of annoys everybody, I'm Aaron, and I'm joined as usual by my less annoying co-host, but you don't want to hear the noises he made in the Pacific Ocean as a teenager. It's Mr. J-Wags. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great, Aaron. How the heck are you today?
Yeah, pretty good. I am absolutely dead tired for Talk Musicals to me for doing 2 or 3 recordings a week.
All right, but hey, it's good busy.
And that's in the UK. And that'll be like the day before I get told, yeah, so we're recording tomorrow. It's going to be 2 a.m. your time. Can you do it? And I'm like, yes, Caroline, I committed. I committed to you and your show. I will be there. I have to be. I have the keys to the castle, if you will.
This is that producer life. This is what you always wanted, Aaron.
Yes,
live the dream.
I know. Tell me about it.
Live it hard.
I want to sing the producers now, but anyways, guess what?
What?
Well, this is a cold read. I apologize. We have all the luck, child, because it's double the festivities with a legendary diva duo popping in for a sound bite tonight. So let's open 97 pages of the book of Once Upon a Time and have the canned laughter at the ready, because things are about to get drop dead weird. But first, on this Good News Week, it's breaking news that a broken nose led this heaven-sent duo to sniff out a career of using their ultimate weapon as fleshy Foley artists with masterful mouth manipulations and microphonic mimes that maneuvered these men to mount the pyramid of comedy and dominate from Melbourne to Montreal while taking oh my God, I just...
Come on, you can do it, Aaron. Come on, man.
You got this. You got this. You got this.
Just another 5 minutes. Come on.
This is literally a cold read. I flew through that and now I've fucked myself up. God. While taking Earth and Heaven by storm and winning 5 awards named Mo consecutively with an extra 2 thrown in for good measure, plus a trio of ARIA nominations for their hit releases. Even if I don't dance to this, I can't stop laughing. This is seriously Australia's most beloved comedy pairing after Christopher Skase and his Oxygen mask, of course. So I can't mask my excitement as I take a deep breath and help Helmet, Tayman, Carmen, Baloo, Jake, Pete, Rove, Liv, Maya the Bee, B1, B2, Babe, me and my monsters, thwack an amazing Aussie g'day along with an oh yuck about the cat gods, speed mice, and amazing mice on TV. Yet even in our asylum, it's puppets versus people and not suitable for children, because this ain't play school with their bear couples and bananas in pajamas. Don't explain. We were all young once. That's the way it goes. We're the fall guys, but we are not all saints. And you can't stop the murder, rest in peace cricket, whose true murder can be solved by the detectives of Noir Town who solved the Frankie Drake mysteries, which unraveled the secret life of us after all the charades and the destruction. But since this isn't the rehearsal, let's count down from 20 to 1 and get more Furiosa after a saga of 3,000 years of longing, looking, and finding Dave with an umbilical parent in New York, but I didn't silence her because I hardly knew her. So I asked the tourist, are you talking to me? Though they gave no answer. Oh, so you think you can mime? I'll take that as a yes, as we fast forward to Woodstock 99 and share the kiss with 3 Mikados before settling in Siberia tonight to chew the fat with April in July, Leno in LA, and Letterman in New York, plus dozens of talk shows and enough flamin' galas to satisfy the Dino King. So I don't know what else to do other than welcome into our sideshow torture chamber a pair of vaudevillians, comedians, actors, writers, directors, voice artists, and drunk historians whose hysterical narrative sketches have us in stitches and turn our worlds the right way up. But luckily, we're joined by the creators of the Upside Down Show. So before my nose bleeds and my water breaks, let's begin crowning their teamwork and take deep breaths as I push out an impregnable introduction for not 1 but 2 boys and cut the cord and deliver David Collins and Shane Dundas, otherwise known as the Umbilical Brothers. Yay! What the fuck? Oh my God.
Thank God!
Oh my
Aaron!
Fucking hell.
Good Lord!
Oh my God.
Now I can see why this podcast goes for so long.
Yes.
Half of it is just intro.
That was a cold read, ladies and gentlemen, and I just spluttered all over myself. I stumbled all the way through that.
And what do you like at 3 o'clock in the morning? It's 11 a.m., 12 p.m. here in Sydney, in Australia time, which is, I guess, the reason why you are interviewing us in the first place, because you don't want to do a middle of the night interview. Is that it?
Oh,
No, I'm always happy to, because like right now my neighbors can hear me do that, and my parents and the 15-year-old nephew, if he's home, they can all hear me do this shit. And
You're the crazy guy next door who just does these long monologues into the air
Yes.
at all times of the day. Right.
yeah, and then I have to edit it. And so they hear it on repeat for days on end. So
Good Lord.
Oh my
Good
God.
Lord.
Tell me about research, man. You mentioned some credits we'd rather have suppressed.
good,
I mean, you did very well there.
awesome.
Also, some credits that aren't ours. There's another David Collins who's a puppeteer who I've taken some of his credits. I just, they're good
Well,
credits.
yes.
Why not? Babe. Yeah, I'll be in Babe. Sure. I puppeteered something in Babe.
Oh, okay. So, we went through this in the email before because I double checked one of those credits, which was Minx,
Yeah.
which is an American show, and that's why I questioned it. I'm like, that's the most random. Like, some of our guests have popped up, like Aussies have popped up on American shows, but that just seemed very random to me.
Yeah, well, it's a guy called David Collins. He's a great guy, awesome guy, and he's a puppeteer. And as luck would have it, he was actually one of only a handful of puppeteers that auditioned for the role of the puppet in the Upside Down show.
Oh, wow.
He came to the audition, though, and it's a kid's show. He came to the audition with a penis puppet. It was a large, hands-length penis puppet, and it had a mouth. It spoke. I think it had eyes. Did it not, Shane? It had eyes, and it spoke.
It had eyes, like all penises do.
2 eyes?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had to send those auditions to Nickelodeon, to America, to say, what we liked and what we didn't like. But I made sure on the bottom of his was a little subtitle that said, we said sock puppet. Sock, not... Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you.
You can swear.
I can, not cock puppet. Well, if anybody needed that explained to them
Yeah.
more than that. But yeah, that's David Collins. So he didn't get the gig, unfortunately. There would have been 2 David Collinses on the Upside Down show. Alas, there was not.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, I've kept his babes on my IMDb. I've kept his babe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've said that's me. Sorry.
Well, I'll tell you what, I took the Ferals and the Feral TV
And
out.
ferals. I get ferals a lot. You're a Rattus? Oh my God, you're a Rattus?
When I found this out, I was like, oh my God, we've got Radis on the show. So excited. And then you tell me in the email that it wasn't you. And like my whole world just came shattering down.
Oh, had I seen you, Aaron, I would have said, yes, it's me. Because after the show, like we get a motley crew of people like really like almost crying, going, Rattus like grazed me. I'm so, and I go, you're welcome. And I walk away.
Take it,
Yeah.
take it and live it up.
Yeah.
Well, Shane, are you mistaken for anyone? Do you want to take credit for anyone else's work at this point?
Look, it's so funny. I don't get mistaken for myself. Like a comedian we know called Gary and I were walking down the street and someone pointed to Gary and David and went, the Umbilical Brothers. I was right there. And this happens to me all the time. And also, I was pulled over. A couple of cops grabbed me one time because they mistook me for a bail jumper. So I get mistaken for criminals. It's never myself.
I swear, any bald guy that I'm with is Shane.
Yeah.
I swear to you guys, I have been standing next to Akmal Saleh. He was born in Egypt. He has dark skin.
Yeah.
And I go, Umbilical Brothers. And I go, no, mate, Akmal and stuff. No, come on now, it's Umbilical Brothers. And then Akmal ended up signing autographs as Shane.
As me, yeah.
I think abusing them, and then writing Shane on the bottom, and then going on this long rant of these tours, these imaginary tours that we were doing together. Oh, goodness me. Yeah, anyway, I may as well just carry a rock next to me, and they'll go, Umbilical Brothers.
As long as it has eyes, people will be convinced.
Oh, I could get that cock puppet.
The penis puppet, yes.
The other David Collins.
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Actually, yeah, look, see, if I put my head like this, you guys, it does look like
that's
the
it.
cock puppet.
Yeah.
I just want to like draw in a little shape on the top.
Now, put a condom on.
Now, I'm curious, Jonathan, do you get mistaken for Jack Black? And have you signed anything as Jack Black? Especially when you've done School of Rock.
One time in Japan,
Yes?
3 young schoolgirls called me Jack Black, I'm pretty sure, and they sort of followed me, and I sort of like waved, and they took a picture and ran away. So I don't feel bad about that, because maybe they were just noticing I resemble the man. But I was the original understudy for School of Rock, the musical, and I understudied a guy named Alex Brightman. So this was the thing. We were made up. I had my haircut. We looked exactly the same. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
So every time we were on stage together, I was blocked upstage and facing away from the audience, and like just so it wouldn't be like, oh well, there's the guy who's the other guy. So whenever there was like a stage door thing where we'd go out and like sign programs and stuff, whenever I wasn't on as the lead, if I would walk out, I'd get all this applause. So I just stopped going out because I wanted to stop explaining, this isn't for me, thank you very much, but I know you're actually applauding this other person. So I just sneak out the side and just go home. One night, I snuck out the side and went home, and then 2 blocks later, I feel a tap on my shoulder, and this lovely older woman was, "You thought you could get away, but I wanted you to sign this for my granddaughter." I hear the cheer at the stage door from the actual actor coming out to a huge cheers. This woman is now 2 blocks away with me. So I said, "Thank you for enjoying the show." I signed something resembling Alex Brightman's name, took a picture, and left. But yes, so in that case, I did.
Fantastic. If I was you, I'd come out and get that applause just come out for a couple of minutes, imagine doing that every day, get the applause,
Milk it.
and then go out the back door. But just for like a minute or so, just once, everybody should do it once in their life, get like a whole heap of people applauding them.
Does that voice ring a bell for you, David? That
It does.
Daughter. Remember in Florida, years ago, we were touring in Florida.
That's right.
And there was a sort of slightly bullish audience, but there was a big space behind them.
It was a week after 9/11. It was just for context, our tour started. We did Letterman, Leno. We were selling really well. They had us in huge, enormous theaters, and September 11th happened. Americans didn't want to laugh, and they didn't want to gather in large groups. So we were pretty much marked. And then we went to Florida. We were performing in a very large venue with only a few hundred people, and continue shaking.
Yeah, there was a big space behind all those folks. And we were doing our thing, doing our act, and from way up the back, it was that voice.
Yeah, it was.
So this voice went, "We can't hear you. We can't hear you."
That was it. That was it.
And I was just thinking, oh, fuck's sake, they're at the back of the room. There are plenty of seats for these people. So I'm going to take care of this. I ran down the back of the theater, came back. About 15 seconds later, okay, wheelchair, very embarrassing. Wheelchair. But yeah, we were performing to like about 100 of George Costanza's parents. Basically, is what it was. That was the vibe.
Florida.
What dog? I don't see no dog.
I don't see no dog.
Here's the fly.
Yeah.
I hear a fly.
We were in Austin, Texas when 9/11 happened. And we had to, we canceled that night, as you should, but we thought, damn it, some people are still coming to the following night. So we decided to do the show the next night.
50.
Yeah, 50 people.
What was the energy in that room when you came out on that stage?
It was beautiful.
It was one of the best shows we've ever. It was like a 900-seat venue with 50 people in it, and those 50 people wanted to laugh. Like, they were there for a reason, and it was one of the best shows of our careers, actually. It was great. And we ended up sort of just sitting down and talking to them at one stage. It was fabulous. Yeah,
everyone just was connecting. And after an event like that, you connect to every person.
I remember just before opening the doors on the 12th, though, they went, "Are you ready? There's people here." About 50 of them arrived. We went, "Oh, great. Okay, open the doors." And I turned around. I went, "Wait a second. We're probably going to have to take that backdrop down." Now, we'd never made a backdrop for our shows before, but it was our first American tour, and we'd made a backdrop of an exploding brick wall. So that was taken down.
You couldn't have known. You couldn't have known.
No, yeah.
Or could we?
It wasn't us. We didn't know it would. We took that down, and it was never used again.
It just goes to show, never try to have anything nice, because then a global terrorist attack will happen.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
It's like putting your laundry out when it's going to rain. I mean, that's kind of the way it works.
In terms of how you like to work, is there a freedom in your stage show where like there is room for improv, where there is room to play around, or is because you have such precision in the work that you do, is it much more like we have a running order with minor variations every night, but we're essentially doing largely the same show every night?
You got it.
It is.
You got it, Jonathan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same show, but it has to be elastic. It has to be an organism. One thing I hate is seeing something that is exactly performed the same every night. I mean, no matter how good they are, they might be great, but I don't want to see something that is exactly the same every night, because the world is happening. So yeah, we're elastic. We've got a kind of a script. We've got points that we hit. We've got our gags, but anything can happen in between. And sometimes we do stuff to each other that the other has to react.
And as you know, Jonathan, those pockets which we devote to improvisation, they're the most, for us, they're the reason why we go on stage. So that's, and also I was talking about it the other night, is the best acting when you've like either forgotten part of the show and you're trying to, okay, what was kind of like this, and you're just free balling.
We'll go free balling. Yeah.
Free balling. Just free balling.
You got no boxer shorts on and you're on stage, and yeah, they're my favorite bits. Performance wise, they're my favorite bits of the show. But but we called ourselves the Umbilical Brothers 30-something years ago because we have that connection on stage. Like we kind of know where each other is going.
It's an intuitive thing. Yeah.
Just speaking of scripted stuff, before we move on to the metal, you were both in what I thought, and what I will fight anybody on, was one of the coolest movies of last year, Furiosa.
Yeah.
Now, I put out a post before on Threads, which has kind of caused a bit of a stir, because some people are like, it wasn't boycotted. It was boycotted. It wasn't boycotted. What was it boycotted for? It was fucking boycotted, kids. We had people sitting there going, oh, it's not Mad Max. I'm not seeing this film. And it was in the thousands upon thousands, even millions of people doing this. So I just wanted to explore why. And apparently I've stirred the pot a little bit.
Ooh.
Was that the most fun you've had in the Outback?
I'm amazed you even noticed me. I'm on screen for literally probably 10 seconds.
Your head fills the screen, Shane. Your head fills the screen.
It was weird. It was so weird because there was no establishing shot. You know, usually when you see someone in close up, you'll get an establishing shot of the facility, whatever. I was the guy on the gate at Gastown, and it was just another scene, and then suddenly my face was there, and I go, what the? What?
To be fair, I did see your name in the credits first, because I'm one that sits there and watches the credits.
Now I'm understanding. Yeah, because one of my best friends didn't recognize me.
Oh.
Like my best friend growing up from school. He's in the business. He's an ILM effects supervisor, and you know he knows visual detail, and he didn't freaking recognize me. So there you go.
Kudos to the makeup team.
Yeah,
A testament to your skill. That's a testament to pure skill right there. That's what that is. He disappeared into the keeper of Gastown.
that's what I'm going to keep telling myself. Yeah, but David's all the way through. He's next to Chris Hemsworth most of the time.
No, next to Chris. If anybody, Jonathan, if you haven't seen the film,
I have seen
get this in mind, okay? Whenever you see Chris Hemsworth's face, you'll see my face sort of sneak in from the side of frame, like just, and all throughout the movie, I'm just getting my head as I'm thinking. I know I've been in films before. Shane and I have been in films before, which we've been completely cut out of. There was one that we were henchmen of this main character. Main character was cut out, so of course we were completely cut from the film. You know what I mean? Like that stuff happens. But I thought they're not going to cut this guy. They're not going to cut him. So my head is like, whether it was in the foreground or background, I'm just right next to it. It's like if you keep that in mind when you watch the film, it's actually quite funny.
Definitely, it's great.
I'm going to watch it again now, I think. But that's the thing, that's so, to me, so very Ozploitation, because it's crazy, it's stupid, it's over the top, but it's still so
real,
like raw and gritty.
Yeah.
Furiosa hit that Ozploitation nail on the head for me. That's one of the reasons why I think some people who did see it may not have enjoyed it as much, because they were maybe expecting a Hollywood film. Mad Max is not Hollywood, and it never has been Hollywood, and it never will be Hollywood. It is Ozploitation, and it has been all along. So,
well, he didn't want to make the same film. He knew people wanted to see, Fury Road again, but he didn't want to make that same film. Furiosa is one big chase scene, and this was a saga he wanted to make. And in fact, this was pitched before Furiosa. It's a 10-chapter story, and they pitched the thing, and Warner Brothers went, yeah, just make that bit at the end there. We'll give you money to make the chase scene. And so he did that, and then they went, Jesus, can you make the first bit now? So it was already written, and also the backstory to every character in all of his movies, you could make another movie for. You have to pitch your backstory, and then so much so that a movie can be made. It's phenomenal.
I think it's a fable. You know, it's like a fairy tale, this thing. And if you look at it that way, it really works. And it's a visual fable. Look at every shot. Every shot is a painting. You know, people talk about, the mats weren't great, or the whatever, the
CGI, yeah. But I think it was meant to look real.
It's a fable. If you think of it as this fairy tale, it actually works. And the composition of those shots, amazing.
Yes.
And the composition is insane. And really, it really looks like the storyboards. And I was taken out of one of the scenes when Mary Jabassa is being tortured at the end there. So spoiler. But I was kind of taken out of that scene. And then I went to the split and I looked and I went, oh my God, could be hung in an art gallery. And I ran to get another actor, and I was running back, and George went, oh, David, sorry, I kind of had to take you out of that. I said, George, don't worry. I've just run to get CJ so that he can come and look at that image on the screen, because that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. You haven't even color graded. You haven't done anything in it yet. That is just the image, and it was absolutely beautiful and could hang in any art gallery.
Yeah.
He really has a particular vision, a very specific vision. Like we did some work on Happy Feet too, some sort of CG kind of character reference work.
That was the most fun. Oh my God, that was fun to be penguins for a day. That was so much fun.
Yeah. But we were in their boardroom at the time, and all around the walls was just nothing but storyboards for Fury Road. This is pre-Fury Road.
Yeah, it was like 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
So it was just the wall full of storyboards of pretty much every shot in Fury Road. So, you know, he's really got a thing in his head. It's pretty amazing. And he's a lovely guy too.
He's so lovely. He's so sweet. He's so gentle. He never gets upset. He knows what he wants and will take anything. I wanted to make a t-shirt made like, try it, because you would suggest anything and he'd go, try it.
Yeah.
Like, but I was trying to desperately get him to say no. Like that was really, I think I got him to say no a couple of times.
He's a collaborator.
Yeah.
What was the one thing you got George Miller to say no to?
Chris stroking me, like when in the opening scene when you see Chris, I suggested me beside him because later in the movie he says, "Oh, you were like a dog. You know, I treated you like a dog." I said, so maybe the first time we see him, I'm sort of sitting behind him, we're looking at the motorbike, and he's patting me like a dog. And he went, no, David. And I went, yes, I got George Miller to say no. That was one. I got him to say no a couple of times, which is hard. It's very hard. He says yes to everything.
Wow. Oh, well, I'll keep that in mind. And George, please come on this show because I would absolutely love to sit down and interview.
Oh, he's wonderful to talk to, and he's still so switched on. He's so switched on. He's so lovely.
Awesome. Just a couple of things I want to throw in there. I thought Chris Hemsworth was robbed at all awards. He should have been at least nominated because he chewed up that scenery, something chronic.
And Anya Taylor-Joy's face is the movie. Like, you were talking about so much about, like, the way every frame is a picture of that movie, but the way, like, the landscape and the angles on her face and the way she is filmed and the stillness she can find in that performance, I found stunning, especially seeing it in IMAX and just knowing how hard it is to find stillness when you have a 90-foot face on close-up like that.
Incredible.
Yeah, he has a visual language that is utterly unique to him, and I really loved the movie.
Yeah, he's all about the visual language. He says that movies should be watched without dialogue. He'll talk when you talk to him. He'll talk at lengths about this, at lengths about how silent movies are movies. Movies are all physical.
Turn the volume down. I've said this like 100 times on this show. Watch a movie, turn the volume down and sit there and watch it. You don't have it on subtitles, but if you can get the story, the emotions, the vibe and everything going, that is masterly made film.
As a music director, I have to hate you for that.
Yes, so
I'm out.
You're just playing the piano to silence.
just one last thing I'm going to throw in there. I actually live 5 minutes away from where they filmed some of Mad Max 1.
You live in Broken Hill?
Oh.
No, the first one. So
Right.
it's literally a 5-minute drive away, and every time we go over
that's
that
right.
bridge, it's our Mad Max bridge.
Cool.
But I'm cutting that out because I don't want metalheads coming after me. Anyways, we're going to move on now to the metal. Otherwise, my segue here will be ruined. Because speaking of cod pieces and apocalypses, we're going to move on to the metal now. And this week I chose, I went through quite a few metal albums and I found one, it was suggested to me, called Umbilical. That's by a band called Thou. And I listened to it and it was literally... It was not something I was going to give to guests on their first appearance. So if we can have you back in the future, then I'm going to give you that album.
Okay.
I'm going to listen to it.
Right, because it was going to scare you off, let's just say. It would have scared you off. And we don't want to do that to our guests. So I picked the Toy Dolls instead, a band we have covered once before with Kirk Thatcher,
Muppets.
a Muppets director. I hear it.
Yay!
He's iconic.
We love Muppets.
He introduced me to this band. So Mr. J-Wags has reviewed it this time. So Jonathan?
Yes.
Can I give you just a tiny anecdote? Just a Muppet anecdote?
Please.
We were doing our show in New York. We were off Broadway for a year in New York, and in one routine, we cut the head off Kermit the Frog. It was the end of the routine. One night, this section of the audience I know exactly where they were. I can see them now. They were just roared with laughter, and I was going, God, that really hit tonight. It really hit. We met them after the show. The fucking Muppets people. The Sesame people.
Oh, wow.
How cool is that? They were laughing at their own creature being beheaded, and that is one of the reasons why we made a show with them.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and we got to visit Sesame Street. We got to climb into Oscar's trash can.
Oh, wow.
It was so much fun.
Oh,
Amazing.
Wow.
They didn't like it when I ripped the head off Kermit, though. I thought they were into that sort of shit, but no. What are you doing?
Forget Radis, man. That's fucking Oscar's trash can. Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
Goodness me. Anyway.
I got a photo of that. I'll send you a photo.
Yeah, awesome. Please do. Please do.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. Anyways, J-Wags, your review on the Toy Dolls is...
We will always take time for an excellent Muppets anecdote.
Yes.
All right, so the album was 1993's Absurd-Ditties by the Toy Dolls. Now, I was not familiar with the Toy Dolls, although I have dug through a lot of 90s punk, being sort of a child of the 80s and 90s. Now, punk, I am sort of hit or miss on, and punk, especially for growing up, I was a little worried when I was looking through the Wikipedia of this, because I do my research, and it's like they were like looped in with like a lot of the working class punk and a lot of the oi movement, and I was like, ooh, if you said that like to me growing up, that means a very specific thing. But then I listened to the album and I was very, very pleasantly surprised. This as an album was one of the best punk albums I think I have ever heard.
Wow.
Because it hits all the things I like to hear in a punk album. Not every song sounds the same. The production is excellent. You can understand what they're going for, and there's a sense of fun to it, and no one's taking themselves too seriously. I really enjoyed that this album almost felt like a Spoon River anthology of punk, in that like every single one sort of like has its own little person, its own little character comes out and tells their own little thing. And I thought the songs in general were very, very strong. I loved the skits, and I'm not normally a person who enjoys a mid-musical album skit, but I thought the idea of having it feel like flipping channels like the radio and everything worked really well with the format of having these very short songs that never really wore out their welcome. I loved that some of these songs had like full Russian choruses. There was counterpoint, major keys, a cappella harmony, and this is a punk album. I love the fact that there were 2 just orchestral covers of dueling banjos and Bach's Toccata in D minor, which I did not expect.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, there was very little for me to say that I didn't like about the album, which, as Aaron knows, is very difficult for me to say, as I am a very picky person about my metal. So the things I loved, amazing work of different characters. Everything was fun. There was variety to the music. The production was crystal clear and surprisingly good songwriting and musicianship for a punk album. The things I didn't like as much, just in terms of being a songwriter, one of the things that gets on my nerves is like really bad prosody, where we like misaccent a word just to make sure the rhyme gets there. And this album like does that a lot. And so like after a few songs, I'm just like, that's not how that word has ever been said in any accent. And then later on in the album, the singer started doing some different vocal affectations because he has very sort of like a pinched Johnny Rotten-esque sort of sound. And then a little later on the album, he got into some more charactery voices, and I thought he should have leaned into that more because I thought he was a versatile vocalist. Some of my favorites were Melancholy Margaret, which was a song about a war bride who just needs to cheat on everyone. Des the Demon Decorator, which was a punk sea shanty about a rogue decorator.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm a Telly Addict, which was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
And my personal favorite, as a middle-aged man who's been through hernia surgery, Ernie Has a Hernia, in which it's a shuffle blues song done in a punk style, which rhymes the phrase, they don't see he's a ruptured man with, he can't sneeze like you normally can.
oh, genius.
Isn't that the most brilliant line you've ever heard in a song?
Genius. That's great.
That is the best lyric I've ever heard in a punk album. So yes, this is a classic. I will be listening to this album again. I would say 5 out of 5.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow.
I've never given a 5 on this show. That's the first one.
You have.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is one. I mean, you really got to put the headphones on to listen to those instrumentals. The placement of the guitars, of the guitars, and the musicianship actually is really good. Yeah, better than you would expect from your standard punk band. Does not have musicianship at this level, I would say. But yeah, I'm a Telly Addict. It's just about phones. Put it in today.
Yeah.
It's just about our phones.
Yeah.
It's exactly about that. It's just displaced to phones. But yeah, the toccata in D minor, is it? Toccata in D minor. It took me a couple of seconds to realize what they were doing. I was going, oh, fuck yeah, that's awesome. And it's so fast. If you're just sitting there with your eyes closed and the headphones on, you're traveling at the speed of light with the music, because it's going and it just pushes you along. So yeah, that was good. I was also thinking they are so fast, it might be worth also trying doing the Dolly Parton Jolene trick.
Slowing it down.
You know, where they've taken Jolene and played that. And you could do that with some of these, and I'm just wondering how that would sound. I think that would be pretty cool. There's a song called Alex Gone.
Yeah.
Now, that's quite a full-on song, and I was just thinking I would love to have heard Mr. Ronnie James Dio
Ooh, yes.
sing the vocal for that song. If you play that song and imagine him singing it, I think it's just... Because this guy, he sings like this, I was thinking there'd probably be a song called, Fatty Wants a Biscuit or something like that.
That's the name of my next album. Thank you.
Fatty wants a biscuit, Fatty, yeah. That's right. Give me another biscuit, oi! Yeah. But he's singing like this, but he's obviously doing a character. And then he does talk, like you say, he talks in what could be closer to his regular voice here and there throughout the song. But with that drooling banjos, that was so great.
It's so random.
You hear some vocal in there every now and then. There's a couple of things like that throughout. And at first I went, oh, no, I just want to hear the music. Then I thought, no, this is reminding me that there are people doing this. There are people playing these instruments. Those are the people playing these instruments. You can feel that there are people here doing it. So I thought that was a very cool aspect.
Yeah, you could tell that this was microphone set up and air was pushed as opposed to a more modern feel where you can feel like it was sort of assembled in the computer.
Yeah.
And that was another thing about Alex Gone, is that it was a song about grief, but it didn't make fun of anyone, which I really enjoyed, that they actually sort of attempted to tackle grief in a punk song in a sort of a sincere way.
Sweet.
Even though they're like a fun band that plays with toy instruments a lot of the times. Like I heard a kazoo in there somewhere and a few things that sounded like they weren't regular instruments. The last album we did, they actually did a cover of Nelly the Elephant, if you remember that old animated series, and Nelly the Elephant to the jungle. I don't remember what the words are, but they do a cover of that, and I think they play it with kids' instruments as well. So they...
Sorry, Aaron, you don't think a kazoo is a real instrument? The fuck, man? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, for a punk band, I mean, in terms
Especially for a punk band. No, they were made for the punk bands. What are you talking about?
I'm being told.
Anything punk started.
With kazoos, combs with waxed paper.
More kazoos.
Well, so it's that remember we were in primary school, we'd sit around and we'd have the rhythm sticks and the triangle. They get those sorts of instruments and put that in a punk setting and play this sort of music, and it creates this incredible sound.
Nice.
That I thought Jonathan might have gone, no, this is too silly for me or too childish for me, but he's given it 5 stars.
Wow.
So I'm wrapped because I gave it 5 stars too. I gave the last one 5 stars. I absolutely love this band. I think what they do is so unique in a field that is very sound alike along.
Well, yes.
Yeah. And, any album with a song called When You're Jimmy Savile, I mean...
I didn't know that was on there. That was on there. Now that I should get in trouble for that one because I should have done my research.
Yeah, they're taking the piss, mate. They're taking the piss.
Yeah, and I had to go do a bunch of research on that, so I hope no one looks through my search history in the next month or so.
Yeah, right. You're screwed, man.
I forgot to warn you about that.
Speaking of unsure, there is a song on the album called My Wife's a Psychopath. Now, I wasn't too sure about some of the lyrics on that one.
Same.
Because it did have a little domestic violence in the mix, and I wasn't sure about that one, to be honest.
Yeah.
That would take it down a little bit from the 5 stars for me.
I think she's the violent one, and he had to calm her down. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that, I think, was the only sort of major blip for me on this album was that.
They're also singing in character. Do we actually think that there's a demon decorator being promoted on this album? No, they're singing in character.
I hope there is. I hope there's a demon decorator out there.
I would watch that series. I would watch the Demon Decorator series in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Melancholy Margaret is still stuck in my head right now.
It's a great one.
And it's been stuck in my head like all morning. That's a really catchy one. But you're right on Ernie Had a Hernia.
Yeah.
Those lyrics.
Mwah. No notes.
I was sitting on the bus, and when I heard the lyrics, "You can't sneeze like you usually can," I laughed out loud. And about 4 people turned around and looked at me, and I'm just like, oh God, what a loser, because I see these people all the time. But yeah, no, I absolutely love this, and I probably should listen to them more often. I've got a couple of their songs on like playlists, like one of their Christmas songs. They got some Christmas songs out there that are fun but still within that punk world as well. Like that's what I love about them, that like even when they do something like Dueling Banjos, which doesn't get turned punk until the end of it, they never lose who they are in any of their songs, even when they're playing around with genres and stuff like that, which a lot of bands sometimes they do tend to when they'll experiment.
Especially with the amount of turnover. If you look at the Wikipedia of the band, it's like the only member of the band who's been with the band the whole time is the lead guitarist and songwriter, and everyone else they've had 12 different bass players and 14 different drummers. Like, what kind of psychopath is this guy that he cannot hold a rhythm section at all?
That's great. I love that.
That reminds me of, like, last episode we did Green Jelly. We
Oh.
did that Three Little Pigs song, if you remember that.
Oh, we remember.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they've gone through a lot of band members, and that guy will just go around the world and just pick up band members wherever he goes or something.
Right. Well, I'm wondering which track this guy is. Is it Terry talking? That's an isolated guy in a house. And you're right. It's a kind of Spoon River thing. Where all these different characters embodied. So weird. We did Spoon River in acting school. That's so weird. You mentioned that.
We did.
Yeah. God.
It's also an improv form we do sometimes. It's just the whole thing. We love the spoons.
Now, Shane, before we move on, if you gave it a 5 out of stars, or out of 5 stars.
I give it a 4 because I'm just not sure about the psychopath song.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Even though he is taking the piss and he's playing a character,
Yeah.
I'm still kind of going, oh, I smashed her face in. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can.
Yeah, no, I hardly agree.
But yeah, the musicianship, much better than I would have anticipated. And this is early 90s, which is well beyond punk, and there's some sort of English music hall stuff in the background, like Mrs. Brown, you got a lovely daughter kind of thing that comes up within the music. So it's so English.
Yes.
But it's driving. It drives you. You sit there, like I said, put the phones on and listen to it, close your eyes, and hear those guitars grinding. You'll be like running 50 miles an hour,
I want to listen to it on half speed. Half speed sounds the way to go.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Twice as long, though, so you gotta give more time in your day.
It was threatening, but non-threatening in a way. Like it sort of tread that line between still being hard, but being accessible to someone who might normally run away from punk because it's...
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe all that character work helps that. It gets it over the line for people who maybe might be a little threatened by this. The character work, the jokes, and the sort of the piss taking.
And the name of the album, Absurd-Ditties.
Yeah. Come on.
It's actually Absurd-Ditties. That's how you're supposed to pronounce it.
Fine.
Absurd-Ditties. Yeah.
I love how all of the songs sounded different. That sounds amazing. That doesn't happen that often in punk albums, surely.
No, trust it doesn't. Or a metal or an... anyways, it looks like the toy dolls were absolutely awesome. And we'll be back after this.
Hello there, my name is Caroline Sheen, and I've just started an exciting new podcast called Talk Musicals to Me, where I'll be sitting down with some of the biggest names and industry players in musical theatre, including Olivier and Tony Award winners, West End and Broadway icons, and celebrated composers, as they discuss the musicals that have resonated most with them, both professionally and personally, sharing their most cherished musical memories. Join me on this journey through the fantastic musical theatre world and the people who inhabit it. And here is an exclusive sneak peek. Talking musicals to me today is the legendary Gary Wilmot. So Gary, how did you and musical theatre first meet? What was the first musical you ever saw or remember going to?
Well, weirdly enough, the first musical I ever saw was to be the first musical I ever did. I was doing variety on television, and I had my own show and stuff like that. But I could kind of sense that television was moving away from light entertainment, varieties it was called then. And in my theatrical office, in my agent's office, there was a young girl who got herself a job as a dancer in Me and My Girl. So we got up a little charabang and we went to see her and the show. And my hand on my heart, I thought it was the best thing, not just the best show, because I'd never seen a show like that before, the best thing I'd ever seen. And I came away and people were saying to me for weeks later after, will you stop going on about Me and My Bloody Girl? Will you stop it? I go, oh no, but it was great. It was so good and this, and it was so perfect in every way. Well, about 6 months later, I was rehearsing a pantomime I was due to do down in Bristol. And we were rehearsing in a room at the back of the Fortune Theatre. I don't know if you've ever rehearsed in there or auditioned there or whatever. And I got a phone call from my agent saying that they're auditioning round the corner for Sally Smith's, but they've said they would like to see you for the role of Bill Snibson. Now, if anybody has ever seen me, if you have never seen me, I'm mixed race. My father was from the Caribbean and my mum was from England. And I didn't think for one second I would be considered for this role because I wasn't an archetypal Cockney character from 1937. And anyway, I went in and I'd never auditioned before because in Variety, you're kind of as good as your last show and they just keep booking you. A bit like stand-ups now. I'm sure stand-ups never audition. They just get booked because people like them. So I walked down the aisle and I've never been so gushing about anything. I was so pleased to be given the opportunity to tell these people that the work they'd done was fantastic and how much I enjoyed the show. And they knew that I knew the girl in the show as well. And they were saying, and I walked down the aisle and I sang row G for Gary. That's where I sat. And I watched that. And when this piano came on and no one was pushing it, it just came on its own. I've never seen anything like. And then this big house came forward and twisted round, and I was really gushing all the things that you should never do at an audition. But it seemed to work. And I came out of there whistling, thinking, I'm so pleased I got the opportunity of telling them that. And then 2 days later, they phoned up and said, would you like to come in and audition properly for the producer with regard to doing the show? So still not sure. I went in, and then the next day, I don't even think it was the next day, I think that afternoon, they said, would you like this role? And I went, I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it. I was terrified. I'd never done anything like that before. Well, weirdly enough, in Variety, I did loads of sketches. I sang loads. I did loads of routines with singers and dancers. And really, Me and My Girl being a book musical was no great big ballady songs, like Les Mis or Saigon and all that stuff. It was basically up there having fun. And so I saw the scenes as sketches and the songs just like the kind of songs I used to sing. And it proved to be a major thing in my life that I thought, yes, this is what I want to do.
We're back with Thrash and Treasure. I'm Aaron, that's Mr. Drags.
It is.
And we're joined by the uniquely unbelievable, unbeatable beatboxers, the Umbilical Brothers.
Hello.
There's your thrash and cling. I don't know how to do treasure. Treasure is hard to do, like clinking noises. We've never been able to do that.
No.
But here's your trash. Oh no, that's thrash.
Thrash?
Thrash and treasure.
Thrash.
Thrash.
Thrash and treasure.
Can you do the world's greatest treasure, Betty White?
Oh.
What a sweet response that got. Oh, now we're all heartwarmed.
Everyone go watch Lake Placid and Golden Girls.
Yeah.
And really get into your Betty White.
This is her. This is what she sounds like now.
Oh,
Too soon. Too soon.
That's awful.
A little bit of a worm decomposing.
Oh.
Oh.
Yes,
oh.
that's terrible. That's the type of joke I would make, and Jonathan would frown at me for it. And I'm like, sorry, I'm Australian.
You made me roast you on Spotify for your 40th birthday, and that's in public now. So now I have to defend that.
Yes, you do. Anyways, go listen to our episode with Lonnie Price for some Golden Girls on-set gossip about what B. Arthur was really like.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
She was a total basically. I'll cut that out.
Hey!
Cut that out of the show. Anyways, if the arts had an Olympics for amateur artists, what events would you guys compete at to win gold? And what would you love to watch people competing at?
I would go for napkin scribbling.
Yep.
The International Napkin Scribbling Championships, because I've scribbled on a few napkins in my time, and there's some doozies.
Yep.
Okay. They did end up with, well, food, scraps, snot, blood. I mean, there's other stuff, but it makes it a mixed media production at that point. So I think, the more food, scraps, snot, blood, whatever you've got on there, the more of a work of art it is. So napkin scribbling is mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine would have to be note giving, but so other people would have to be performing and I am giving notes to their performance because I have a problem and I cannot not see something and give it. Actually, if I don't give notes, your show is either perfect or it can't be helped. There's no help. It can't be saved.
What are some of the highest profile people you've given notes to, David, after you've seen their shows? Can you?
Let me say that have actually got into the show. I'll find that. I've written something.
I can answer this one. Duncan Sheik, right? We had Tony Grammy Award-winning Duncan Sheik on this show, and I corrected one of his puns in his musical. I'm like, no, you got this lyric wrong, Duncan. And he's like, well, I didn't write it. I'm like, sorry, Stephen Sater, you're not on this show right now.
I gave Robin Williams a note that he used in his show. Lena Woodley, Damien Kelly. Claire Woolner is an American clown of yours. Danny Boy, the English comedian. He put a gag of mine in. Brianna Allmark, Monks. But yeah, probably Robin Williams is the biggest name that has gone, okay, yeah, I'll try that.
Nice.
Oh, wow, what was the note?
It was actually a physical note when he was, it was, I can't remember exactly, but he was hanging onto something and his leg was coming up. It was a very physical thing, but he was going, oh, yeah, no, yeah, I tried that. Then I remembered I had that surgery early on. So he did the move, but it hurt him to do the move because he'd had some sort of surgery down there that he couldn't actually lift his leg up. So I may have...
Robin had a hernia.
We're back to the hernia again.
Yes, it was something like that.
We're back to the hernia again.
It really was something like that, yeah.
It's waiting for all of us.
But it was nice to see your note and then see it realised in a stadium full of people. That was nice.
Wow.
One of the most beautiful things for us was just, we'd do our bit and he'd come on and do his show. Just to be doing the thing and to hear him laughing from the wings at our stuff was just the greatest feeling. With that very distinctive Robin Williams laugh, coming from the wings. It's, oh, Robin, if Robin likes it, I'm just happy. I'm happy. Beautiful.
You two do so many things incredibly well, but what's one normal everyday thing that you are terrible at that everyone else can do perfectly well?
You're way off script, Jonathan, but all right.
Where am I?
You're the third segment now.
Where
We're
am
still
I
up to
at?
the musical.
Oh, you're right. I skipped it, but mine also says Lonnie Price.
Curb parking.
Curb parking, yep.
Curb parking. David can attest to this. I just lose all sense of where anything is in the world. I could be in the North Pole and I still couldn't curb park. Like there's just the one curb. There's nothing else around. I would smash into something. That's me. But David...
My tragic flaw is that I feel like I can do most things differently or better or more fun than what is happening. But my memory, I made some great roast potatoes and sweet potatoes in the air fryer last night and made salad for everybody. And then at 3:00 in the morning, I went, potatoes! Oh, and I've just left them there. And, so if I could my memory.
I was wondering what that smell was, actually.
Yeah. That is really, really beautifully made roast potatoes.
You probably should turn those suckers off now, though.
Yeah. Jane's in my house, by the way. He's in the other.
I'm in another room.
I got more than one room in the house.
Well, let's move on to the musical anyways. This week, me and Kay Tuckerman, former guest and angel of this show, we went through about 10 different ideas to pick the right musical for you guys. We went through comedies. We went through anything that had brothers in it, even Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, I love that show, but Jonathan will kill me.
Too many brothers.
If I give him that one.
Too many.
Is that the one with Clint Eastwood? Seven Brides for... No, it was Paint Your Wagon.
That's Paint Your Wagon.
Yeah.
Paint Your Wagon.
Oh, yeah.
Who had Seven Brides for Seven Brothers in it?
Ruta Lee was in it, and I think Julie Newmar, was she in it?
The guy and that portly guy, wasn't he? That's great.
I only know my divas.
Okay, all right.
Don't ask me about the men.
Okay.
No, I know Ruta Lee was in it, definitely. But yeah, so anyways, and then I mentioned to you guys, and I think at the time I had picked Something Rotten, and then you, David, said, let's do Blood Brothers.
100%.
So I was like, okay, that solves it, because that was one of the choices, and we'd actually wrote it off because I thought it might be too depressing, but I guess we got the fun in the punk album.
They have a bit of fun before the depressing bit at the end. They have the spoilers, but they have a bit of fun.
Oh man, it's a downer, man. I've never seen it. I listened to some of the songs last night, and some of them I just couldn't get through, and I was just going, oh man, it's what? They're not gonna. Oh, they didn't, did they? And it's not. It didn't. I ended up. Oh, what? What? There is no God, you know.
So I was going through acting school with Shane. We'd met, and it was in the first year of acting school. And I had entered acting school because I wanted to sing. I was annoyed at the acting inside musicals and thinking that I could do better than that. This is horrible. I wanted to do musicals when I left acting. That's gone to the side. But I went and saw Blood Brothers, and I saw one of the most magnificent performances of my life. And I came back and I said to Shane the next day, I honestly thought I was a good actor, but I've just seen somebody and he was absolutely fabulous. And it was Russell Crowe in Blood Brothers. And it was the beginning of the run because do you know what's happened with the run in Blood Brothers in Sydney?
No.
Anybody? No. So there's a scene at the end where Russell gets upset and he sort of throws a chair down. And after the show, the guy who played the other brother, Peter Cousins, would go, Russell, you're out of control with that. You need to be more in control with the throwing the chair down. And then one night, as legend has it, Russell had just had enough of Peter sort of coming up and telling him. And so Russell just went, what the? And just gave him a Scottish kiss and headbutted him, broke his nose. And so both leads out of the show.
Wow.
Thus proving the title.
And they thought he would never work again. And then he was cast in Romper Stomper, as a neo-Nazi who was just looking angry. And it was perfect casting. And that set him on the road, thank God, to where he went to and where he is today. And he is absolutely magnificent. And magnificent at headbutting somebody, it seems. Yep.
So the Venn diagram, Willie Russell and Russell Crowe, the Russell is the central, and the Crowe and the Willie are on the outside. Yeah.
And Blood.
Okay.
And Blood Brothers. They were really Blood Brothers.
Yeah. Oh, if Russell Crowe or Peter Cousins want to come on the show and confirm this story for us, please do.
I'd love it.
Oh, another Russell thing. Russell Crowe, there's a story that Russell Crowe gave $50,000 to a small theater in Chicago because of the stand-ins for Master and Commander. There was a little boy, and then the little boy had a stand-in who was a tiny woman, and the tiny woman was a Chicago actress, and she worked at this little theater. And he's like, oh, hey, what do you do in Chicago? She's like, I work at this little theater called the Circle Theater. It's like, and we're trying to do this production. Wrote a check, showed it up there, and now he's part of like the donor circle. It's just like on the plaque on the wall.
Yeah.
Tiny little thing. Russell Crowe.
Yeah, that's true. He does that like once a week. Imagine being able to do, he does that all the time. Yeah. Well, all of the Australian actors do that. We're known for that sort of stuff.
Great. I have a list of things that you could help us with.
Yes. What do you need?
I was going to get really real there for a second about Second City, New York, but we're going to edit that part out.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to quickly run through my review because it's 3 pages this week. And it's actually the 3rd review I wrote, so that should say something.
You like writing.
When taking a stab at Blood Brothers, it was with only the memory of Marilyn Monroe, as well as knowledge of its storied, starry lifetime. But given the mediocre experience I had with another Willie Russell musical in 2000-2001, I thought this listening experience may be in vain. So I hopped on my local bus on my way to an appointment, and the mood of the musical shone through. The mood being British. Very, very British. So as Mr. Johnstone laments about a man who liked the way she looked like a movie star, I can relate, because she likes me for me, not because I look like Pope Leonardo. That's very timely. My Child begins beautifully sung by Stephanie Lawrence, and whilst it continues the British sound, it also sounds very similar to Marilyn, whilst detailing this single mother's 7-baby itch. Easy Terms sounds like a Linda Ronstadt B-side, whilst rounding off this small trilogy with delicate flourishes that convey their inner turmoil. But once the twins are introduced, we're treated to a superstition that will no doubt come true, right as the music livens up with an 80s flair. Maybe a little too 80s though. As if I had one criticism, it's that the music doesn't feel as versatile to modernize without these electric keyboards. Because here, I feel it dates it more than the classics, which ultimately become timeless. I won't spoil the story. The opening scene will do that for me. It's a gripping show in story, characters, and most often sound, even if running motifs are a little overused. 3.5 stars. Compared to the punk album we just did, this is also very, very, very British, but just not as fun. It's actually very, very depressing. Clearly iconic. It's had a very storied history. A lot of big stars from like the Cassidys to Chrissy Amphlett was in that production.
She was.
From the Divinals. Yeah. So
she was. Yeah, saw her.
It's had like this amazing history, but I feel like it's more than a lot of musicals, and Jonathan talks about this musicals being of a time, I feel like this has been the most of its time that we've listened to so far. If you were to do this today, but not do it with that 80s electric keyboard David Essex sound, how would it sound? Would it sound as iconic?
I think it's still in the West End. I think it's still playing somewhere in the West End.
It closed 2012, so it did run for a long time.
2012.
It's still touring.
Yeah.
The tour is still going, though.
The producer, Bill Kenwright, he recently passed away himself, so I don't know if that production will continue on.
Aaron, what did you think of Les Mis? Pretty sad musical.
Yeah, see, that's got this real epic score that gives the goosebumps, but if I had one problem with it, it's that music doesn't tell you where it is or anything beyond epic. It doesn't tell you we're in France. It doesn't tell you we're 200 years ago. It doesn't tell you anything beyond epic. Lyrically, yes, it's there. Visually, it's there. But in terms of its aural, AURAL identity in the branding and the music, like it doesn't sound French. It doesn't sound, revolutionary at all in that music sound. It's very grand. It's epic. It's a beautiful show. I love it, but I don't feel like it has a unique identity. Blood Brothers has a unique identity, but I feel like it's dated itself for that reason.
Oh man, yeah.
Les Mis will go on and be classic, and it is.
That electric piano. As soon as I heard I just went, oh, please, no electric piano.
Well, not just the piano, but the overall production of the album. Like, there's so much reverb on every single part of the album, and it's just like every song feels like it's being sung through a cloud of fog, like from across a room.
I think that's what they were going for, because they tell you the ending at the beginning, so we're watching a memory. I'm pretty sure that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
This was one of those recordings where it's like I really wanted to be in the room because I knew I wasn't getting it without the visuals. And they tried really hard in this album to tell you everything that was going on. Yeah. But it wasn't the same for me. And I really feel like the performances in this one are really what are going to sell these songs. Because for me, none of the songs leapt off the page or left out of the radio like they do for me for Les Mis.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, if I'm after a musical that's going to just last for me, with it'd be a company, a Sondheim, but something like this, you're right. You need to see it you need Russell Crowe to reprise the role and to do it again for you. There's some songs here that I will, I'll never, the nobody out on the streets today. You should be living on the moon. There's some songs that I'll never forget that will always be in my head. And I don't often go and see musicals and come out humming them, 30 years later.
Yeah. This is the English cast recording. And I think there's one brother who's brought up well, and the other one who brought up roughly.
There's Prince and Pauper, yeah.
Yeah, Prince and Pauper. Yeah. And the Pauper, for me, it didn't sound tough enough in this album. I was expecting, I'd heard about Russell Crowe and I thought, okay, it'll be the English equivalent, because that must have been who Russell was playing, the hard side of the street guy.
You got it.
And this guy just pretty much sounded very similar to the other guy, in terms of being, he just didn't, I couldn't hear the streets.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
This guy in the English recording. And I think you're right about you have to be there. You've got to, like you say, you've got to see those performances for it to all click in, and they've got to work for you. And that's what happened with you, David. You've got that as a context for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring up Sondheim, because he had a thing that tell them what you're going to do, you do it, and then you tell them you did it. And that's exactly what this musical does. It tells you what it's going to do by giving you the ending at the start. It does it, and then it tells you what it just did with the ending song and seeing that ending again. But as I said, I just feel like it was outdated. But in terms of having to see it, that was actually in one of the reviews I scrunched up and didn't want to do, because I thought Jonathan would call me a hypocrite, because I'm always saying, no, it doesn't matter. You don't need to see it, because if the music is good enough and strong enough, that will make you want to buy a ticket at the end of the day. Because when we would turn on, say, Hey Hey It's Saturday, as I mentioned before, and there would be a performance from the latest musical that was in town, it would be a song from it. It wouldn't be a reading of a scene. It wouldn't be like Belle and the Beast having their romantic or, a fight or something like that. It would be the Be Our Guest number or something like that. They sell us through the music. So the music needs to sell me to buy a ticket. The fact is that here I need to buy a ticket to get all that, even though the story is there, the vibe is there, the branding is there. I just felt like there was a bit of a disconnect, I think, in a way. And yeah, those electric keyboards really did great on me. It didn't work here.
Yeah, a couple of songs. I didn't mind Easy Terms. I thought that was a pretty nice
Yep.
song. Heartfelt. The performance in this soundtrack, pretty good for that one. But yeah, a lot of the songs, I agree. You have to be there. They don't necessarily stand on their own as bangers like a lot of the Les Mis songs might, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actors singing, not singing act, which is sometimes as well. It's actors singing.
Yeah.
Well, and Les Mis also is specifically structured that those melodies come back so many times.
So many times.
That you leave with those in your bones. Whereas this one, I felt like there was definite structure, and the Marilyn Monroe thing kept coming back, but not in necessarily a way that you leave humming like, do you hear the people sing?
But I don't think there was enough within the songs each. There was enough variety in each sound to be able to like that. The three songs really did sound like a trilogy because they sounded like the same song, but they were telling three distinct stories in a slightly different sound each time. So that's why I sort of likened that to like a little operetta or something like that at start. And then the story begins once these twins are introduced, but then things get really 80s. And I love the 80s. I love 80s music, but just for some reason I didn't think it worked.
Every time I see a musical from the 80s and it's just like the time now, but the orchestrations always tell you this is the 80s. This is definitely the 80s.
Any John Carpenter film, Escape from LA with the 80s soundtrack.
Oh, love it.
Set in the future.
Those are so dated they become futuristic. I will hold to that.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, it's a great point, Jonathan.
I love the John Carpenter scores. They're just like, you could tell he just locked himself in a room with a microphone and a synthesizer and is like, this is my movie now.
Yeah.
Outsider art. I love it.
Yeah, like, isn't it Jerry Bruckheimer used to say, used to find the music, what a feeling. When he found that song, he knew he was going to make the movie. That's the movie. The movie is that song. Yeah, Carpenter, I reckon, is probably the same. He's going to go, I can see him just with the spliff and his piano. And go, that's it. Yep.
Babble, 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 babble,
babble,
babble, babble, babble,
that's it.
Yeah,
That's all
baby.
we need.
Just going through the presets, which is the spookiest tone? Meow. No, that's not it. Meow. No, that's not it.
Yeah.
Meow. That's it. That's the spooky
Yeah,
one.
that's the one. Yeah. He's coming.
While we're on the topic of film, there was a thing I was going to ask you later, but since we're on the topic, you've done extensive stage work and you've done extensive work in TV and film. And obviously, comedy live has to be different than comedy on camera with cuts and like with angles and stuff. How do you approach comedy differently for a screen rather than live?
That's interesting. Well, for us, it's all about the image. And when it's live, we kind of have a cinematic sensibility when we perform live. So we're kind of assuming people are watching a sort of a movie when we're on stage. So there's a similar feel in terms of this is the angle we want you guys to see it at. This is the shot. This is what you can see. This is what you can't see. So a wing can be the same as the edge of a frame. What you can see and what you can't see. You get comedy both in film and TV from what you can see versus what's just outside the frame. You can get just as much comedy about what you know is out there, but you can't see. And so there's a similar approach to us in terms of the visual. But obviously with film and TV, you got editing, edit points, cut points. With stage, it's so different. There's timing and pauses, etc., same as in TV. But cut points, that's one of the big things for us. Where do you cut? Do you cut like a quarter of a second earlier, later, whatever,
Yeah.
And, stage, you're doing it once and you get the laugh. It's working when the audience are laughing or when they're not. A film, you're doing it a number of times. And one of the rules is if the crew is laughing, then it's probably not working. But if you do something enough times, it loses its spark. So you've got to try and get it in that first few frames. But yes, Shane said your editing will kill your film or make your film. We've done some magnificent things on film that I thought were very, very funny and then looked at it and gone, no, that's not what was happening. That's not been connected correctly. And the other way, we've done stuff that I've gone, no, I wasn't happy with that. And then I've seen it and gone, oh my God, that is like our David Letterman spot. When we did David Letterman, it felt so horrible and uncomfortable. And we left straight away and we went home very upset. And we watched it that night and went, oh my God, I don't know what they've done, but that looks good and we look good and that sounds good.
Those guys know what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did. It's funny. With that bit, we asked to stay wide as much as possible and as few cuts as possible and as front as possible. So it really was capturing a performance as opposed to, often there's cut, particularly nowadays. But they stayed wide front with very few cuts. They did what we asked and it worked out really well.
It just sounded like about four people people were laughing. It didn't sound like enough people laughing because they asked for like several different pieces. We like to do routines, like from beginning, middle, and end. They have a story when we do television, but they asked for several different things through the show that they thought were funny and for us to stitch it together. And we said, but it's not going to work. It doesn't have a story to it. And then we said, was that or nothing. And so we did it, and we knew it wasn't going to get the laughs it deserved, but they did something, and it sounded like 400 people were laughing. I know it was just those people, but they just go, and then alternatively, we did, Jay Leno, and we told them exactly what we want, which is if we want the audience laughing, it needs to be really loud for the audience. But the opposite thing happened. Because it was really loud in the audience, they couldn't capture the audience's laughter. So we killed on Leno. And I remember bringing our manager, Artie, and going, oh man, we killed. What did you think? And he went, yeah, it didn't look that great. They didn't sound like they were into it. So, yeah.
We wanted it loud. Yeah, we wanted, because we were doing a lot of vocal sound effects, and we were like, turn it up because the audience is going to love it. But then when you're miking an audience, you've got this stuff coming out, and you've got to figure out the sound levels there. And so something else gets repressed and compressed. So it was really interesting. You've got to be aware of the technical stuff that's going on, but it's still got the same energy.
That's why we're wearing earphones. Because it'll do that. It'll protect that.
Right.
As far as comedy, sorry, Jonathan, just one more time about your comedy in film or TV. Personally, I'd like to do just a different intonations, different read for each take. This has to be something different about each take that will keep the acting at a higher level for me, but also the comedy in that will be matched, I think, because if you try and do the same intonation, the same for each take, it becomes less funny, less real.
We were really fortunate with the Upside Down show because we had so much like unheard of creative freedom with that, right down to the edit, which is just something that doesn't happen normally.
No, that's very
and cameras and angles and shots, they were so interactive with us, and the script, we built that up as well, and it was a great result because we knew what we wanted the audience to see and how only we knew exactly how we wanted the audience to see us.
Yeah, each scene we would come onto set, and normally lights and camera are there to be told what to do. They would go away for 15, 20 minutes while we and the director worked out what we'd like to do, where we'd like everything to be. And then everyone would be called back and going, okay, this is what we're doing for this scene. It wasn't worked out before, it was worked out on the day.
So what you're saying is you request to be filmed like dancers, essentially.
Well,
is that how? Oh, yes. Yeah, like,
I suppose.
Gene Kelly and the Nicholas brothers famously wanted to be shot in medium shot from the front. So that way it's like, no, the point is the dancing. The point isn't that you're getting every cut. The point is to watch the full performance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're the only corporate event we've died at, it was for 5,000 people, and 5,000 people, they were all looking at the screens. They were going into like close-ups of Shane doing the sound effects, and so people couldn't follow the routines because they were doing close-ups and no, Pete, stay wide. Oh no, died.
Have they seen your routine before that? Have they seen like anything like, hey, it's Saturday at least? Something.
Well, the people doing the audio visual of a 5,000 seat corporate event had not. No, they were just doing their regular thing. They go close up using all the cameras that they've got, as many things as they want, but it absolutely ruined our routine. And somebody lost a lot of money.
If Taylor Swift wants the close up, you get the close up too.
That's right. At least we want twice as many close-ups as Taylor.
When we were touring with Robin Williams, we were doing stadiums. And when you're doing stadiums, you're not performing to the stadium, you're performing to the camera, because even the people in the second row are looking at the screen. Like, you're right there. You're within like a few meters of them. And they're looking, are you looking at us? You're looking at the very big version of us, which is, as it happens, that's our new show, The Distraction, which we'll get onto that. But so Shane and I would go, we made friends with the audio-visual people, and we go, oh, this is what it's like for the people up the back. And then we would bring our hands there, and the camera would come close up of just our two fingers walking around going, hello.
On an enormous screen. Yeah.
On an enormous screen, just our fingers. And that's where Action Fingers came from for the Upside Down show.
Oh, wow. Goodness me. Well, it looks like Marilyn Monroe from the producers of Thrash and Treasure, around the world in 80 plays, starring the adorable Lizzie B and Alfie Parker, and featuring the star of the show, Dolly the dog. They'll take you for a trip around the UK, exploring the rich arts and cultural history, but here is a sneak peek.
Names and Flames. I'm Lizzie B.
And I'm Alfie Parker.
And we're joined, as always, by our doggy diva, co-host, travel buddy, and fur baby, Dolly. So, what did Dolly do? This week, there is no What Did Dolly Do section, is there, Alfie, which is normally your segment.
It is normally my segment, but it's not there.
But it's for an exciting reason, because this week we have picked up a hitchhiker. She is a bright light of the West End stage who has been seen in The Beautiful Game, one of our favourite musicals ever, Young Frankenstein, which also we both loved, Only Fools and Horses,
which is an absolute bucket list show of mine.
Wicked. I've never heard of that one. Have you heard of Wicked?
Is that new?
I don't know. Must be new writing. The 39 Steps, Taboo, and more, including her recent stint as the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz at the London Palladium. Have you heard of The Wizard of Oz?
Is that also new?
I don't. But today, she's conjuring up some wickedly funny little stories from her adventures in the national tours of Bedknobs and Broomsticks, Beauty and the Beast, and she was also perfect in Cats. I wish I could roll my R's. That would have been way better, wouldn't it? That was very disappointing. Perfect. That was much more. It's sort of Halloween-y, so it's fine. Anyway, luckily, tonight's the night we get a masterclass from this Cinderella because, mamma mia, it's Diane Pilkington. Hello, Diane. How are you?
I'm good. That was fantastic. Amazing.
I feel like some of the delivery was definitely questionable, but I gave it my all. I did it with gumption, which is all we can ask.
It was perfect. Perfect.
See, you can do it. Neither of us can roll our R's. Perfect. So, Diane.
Yes.
What has life been like since you returned from Oz?
It has been life. I mean, to be honest, it was a pretty big, should I say whirlwind? Is that cheesy? It was. I mean, it was crazy, crazy, crazy schedule, amazing people, amazing job. I absolutely loved it. But I was so broken by the end of it, like more broken than having been on tour. I can't even explain why. I was on stage for about 17 minutes, but I think being evil is really, really hard work. So I've just been, well, not just been, I have been being a mummy, and my little boy's just gone into year 6. He's really, I think kids really need to support this year. So I've been doing that. And going seeing shows.
Been all the things we can never do when we're working.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. And I've been relying on the good grace of friends and ex-colleagues for getting me in to see shows, because obviously the other thing we can't do when we're not working is afford to do shows as well. So it's a toss-up, isn't it? You can either afford to go but you've got no time, or you've got loads of time but you're like, really, can I afford 150 quid to go and see that?
Have you seen anything amazing recently?
Yeah, oh my god. I mean, I went to see The Little Big Things. That was amazing. I went to see Diversity last night. I went to watch the lovely Ashley Banjo in Diversity at Aylesbury, and oh my god, that was brilliant. It was brilliant. And tonight we're going to go and watch Jersey in Sunset Boulevard. Come on.
This is what I'm so excited for. I have a ticket for a couple of weeks' time. I'm literally so excited.
Me too. I actually I texted Caroline Sheen this morning going, the day is here. So we're looking forward to that one. Bit of a date night.
Oh, and she did a really amazing interview, I think, on the One Show last night, where she was talking about being in theatre and how she's got a newfound respect for it and how hard it is and the amount of work, and she feels like she's like an athlete. So I think that's really good for people to hear someone like her kind of talking about it and being really honest about the amount of work that goes into it.
Absolutely, that's really great to hear, because it is, and I think we take it for granted that we do those 8 shows a week, and you bust a gut and your voice holds out, and you train and all that kind of thing until it all goes wrong and you get an injury or so, and then you suddenly realize how hard it actually is. Because what I find, and I'm getting on a bit now, so I'm a bit older than I used to be, things don't heal quite as quickly, and what I find now is that if my knee goes, then you can guarantee it won't just be the knee. I'll work on that, and then the hip flexor will go because I'm trying to do something, and it's just really punishing, isn't it? Especially doing what you guys are doing at the moment, touring. It is hard work, but brilliant. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. There's a great payoff, but it's nothing to be sneezed at.
We're back with Thrash and Treasure. I'm Aaron, that's Mr. Drag.
Hello.
And we're joined... Oh, no, I did that one before. Bugger, sorry. And we're joined by the iconic Umbilical Brothers.
I literally could talk to you guys about stuff all day, but I feel like at some point we should be talking about your New York show that is coming up, because I want to know.
I do sing in it. I do sing some well, I would say Nina Simone. I sing it and people go, "Hey, I love that Michael Bublé song." If I should lose you.
It's actually from a musical.
Yeah, baby. If I should lose you.
David's an amazing singer, and he does in a few of our shows. David lets the pipes loose, and yeah, at the end of this one, he gets to sing, not as himself.
No, as Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
amazing.
Who's still alive, apparently.
No.
Well, in our version of it, yeah.
In our version.
You will be in New York City because you are opening The Distraction, which you've been touring for a couple of years, I believe. So you're opening that at, I wrote it down, it was called the Actors Temple.
The Actors Temple?
It's called the Actors Temple.
Yes.
Now, I looked around for a theatre in New York, and this Actors Temple was available, and I went, that sounds great. I think I've got to do that. They said it's an old synagogue. Now, I thought when they said it's an old synagogue, it used to be a synagogue. On Friday nights, we have to do a later show because there's a service on. It's a freaking synagogue. Yeah. We're performing in a synagogue.
So it's currently operating, it's just been around for a while, is what they were meaning.
Yeah.
But we went and just had a look at it, and it is absolutely perfect for us.
It's great.
The audience are right there. There's a stage. It's absolutely perfect for us. And if you are going to buy tickets, anybody, buy tickets in the balcony. No one's buying tickets in the balcony, and they're the best seats because you're looking at a big screen. You're not looking down at us on stage. You're looking at the screen, which is in front of you.
Yeah, awesome.
I mean, I was going to wonder why you had your Friday shows at 10 p.m., and now I know.
Right? Now you know, because our warm-up is a rabbi. He better be bloody funny. Or she. I don't know if it's a reform.
I think it's a she. I think it's a she at that particular one.
Yeah. Is it a she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, no, it doesn't matter. If it's not reform, then there's no way it's a she. But if it's a reform, then it has to be a reform. If it's the bloody theatre and they're having us.
They're letting us do something. Yeah.
I once had a rabbi open for us for comedy. It did not go very well.
Didn't it?
I will just say that.
Okay.
We were doing a gig, and it was a Jewish buyout. So it was a Jewish temple that had bought out the theater. And then right before we go on, the rabbi got in front of everyone and said, hello, everyone. I just wanted to let you know I will not be attending the comedy show because I feel like it would be disrespectful, because my parents have both died in the past month, and thus I am grieving, and I must wear black, and I should not be seen physically, just seeing joy in the public. So I just want you to know that it's nothing against the lovely people here at the Comedy Theater, but I must leave because I am in mourning, and now comedy. And literally, that's where it went. That was our intro.
Oh.
This man spent 2 minutes discussing why and how sad he was and how solemn the occasion was, and then you're on.
How did it go?
You killed. I bet you killed.
There was 5 seconds of dead silence, and then you heard the microphone click, and then who's ready for comedy?
Not that guy.
Beautiful.
So yes.
Yeah, we once performed at a bar mitzvah, and it was the weirdest thing in the world. It was one of our early gigs, a bar mitzvah. It was our first and only bar mitzvah.
The set was like a recreation of the Wailing Wall behind us.
It was the Wailing Wall.
Yeah. It was really weird.
They couldn't afford to take their child to Israel, so they built the Wailing Wall and hired the Umbilical Brothers.
Well, good thing you didn't have the background with the wall exploding, because it would have been equally as offensive then too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Us and walls.
That's actually maybe our new backdrop of that Israeli flag. Maybe we should really start to think about that. Maybe. I'm not sure anymore. Anyway, so I thought it just made sense when it was offered to me, but I honestly thought it was an old synagogue, not a freaking synagogue.
So what can audiences expect? I hate this question. This is such the cliche.
The things that we're doing in that synagogue, Aaron, I cannot explain. The audience come in, there's a lot of cameras, there's green screens. You're looking at us up on the screen. The show is called The Distraction because you are distracted, as you have been for the last 20 years, with the screens. Instead of looking at the real people, you'll be looking at the screens. But on there, Doug Bain, our wizard visual effects guy, is going to be putting live sound effects and live visual effects and everything on there, and we're going to look much better up there. But he does stuff like we replace implements in sports with babies. That's one of the kids. It is a family-friendly show. That's one of the kids' favorite things of the show when we do that. We turn the camera on the audience. We literally make their heads explode. What else do we do, Shannon?
It just gets better. We take questions from the audience, but the audience doesn't have to do anything because we're putting our mouths on the audience.
Nothing.
So it's actually us on their faces asking us questions, that kind of thing. We go to space, we go under the sea, we are everywhere. And the thing is, do you watch the people you've paid to go and see on stage, or do you watch them mixed into special effects directly above them on a screen? There's the dilemma. There's always a distraction. It's going in both directions. And part of the comedy is seeing us desperately trying to get into position to make whatever the next completed scene on the screen is. So we're kind of frantically trying to get around on stage.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all live. The show is live, but at certain points you should be you're looking up there and you're going, well, that's not live. And then you're looking down at Shane and me kind of going, oh, that is live. Oh, Doug is making, it's all live. And with the exploding heads, one of my favorite things about the show and makes me laugh is like on the screen when the camera's on the audience and we make somebody's head explode, you see the people next to them who are looking at that and then go and they look to the side because on the screen they've seen the person's head explode, but they look to see that it's not actually happened. Like, what the? That's my favorite thing of the show and kids' favorite thing of the show. And also, if somebody could bring a service animal, in Adelaide, somebody brought a service dog and we made the dog's head explode. So if somebody could please bring a service animal to the Actors Temple, I would love to do that.
Well, I mean, so like your other show, are you going to do a remix of this that is only for adults?
Oh, gee, that's interesting. I mean, we could take this further. Worst things can happen.
I'm just using my imagination.
No, Jonathan, I'll tell you what, because we have to go on after our support act of the Rabbi on Friday night, I would assume there are not going to be any kids at the 10 o'clock show. So I'm going to assume that those 10 o'clock shows are going to be very loose. We know that one of them is going to have 40 people from Hugh Jackman's bloody pub, the old mates. We've already got them coming. So we know we've got 40 drunk Australians there, which is going to be something. So I'm going to guess that they're going to be way more adult, those 10 o'clock shows. So if you want to see a very loose adult show, the 10 o'clock Fridays is the one to be at.
Tell me specifically which is the Hugh Jackman drunk Australian performance. I'll make sure to be there.
Yeah, okay. 10 o'clock Friday. It's the first Friday.
Oh, okay.
The first 10 o'clock Friday. That's it.
Oh, all right.
Come to that one. I can't wait.
And it opens on May 23rd?
23rd.
Yes.
Come to that one, man. Jonathan, I'll see you there.
All right. I'm getting down to the temple, I guess.
It's just for you.
It's the cheapest show on West 47th Street because just a couple of blocks along is Othello and Good Night, Good Luck.
Yeah, and they both cost a firstborn fucking child to go see them for crying out loud. Oh my God.
It's crazy. These are brilliant actors. I mean, you can't blame people for wanting to see these amazing actors, but come on, make it accessible for these guys. You know, let them in at lower prices.
Especially Othello. Like, this is the one Shakespeare play which is going to be aimed at people of color, right? So you've got people of color in New York City. Who the fuck is going to be able to afford that? The people in the Upper East Side or whatever it is, the rich people. But everyday common person who wants to be able to see this is not going to be able to afford it because they don't have a firstborn child to sell. So I'm very passionate about this because it's $900. Why does it cost more to see a show, 2.5 hour performance on Broadway than it does to feed a family of 5 for a week?
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. But luckily for you, Aaron, I think word on the street has it that race doesn't come into that Othello.
No, so they should be fine. So all the rich white people should walk away feeling so much more enriched about their own lives after seeing Othello.
Yeah.
Like, see, it's just so fucking ridiculous. Sorry.
That's a chip on my shoulder a lot. Yeah, when I see theatre and I'm going, this is great, but the audience that should be seeing this is not seeing this.
No. Yeah. The only thing about that pisses me off are when they say, we broke the record for the theater. It's like, you just charged more money. Yes. More people didn't see your show. You're just charging more money.
Yes, you got 9 weeks worth in 1 week. Fucking, that's not a record. Godfather. Sorry. Oh my God, you got me fired up now.
Having said that, I am producing this run and there's just no way for us to make money with $50-something tickets. Yeah. Like, this run is really for producers producers or somebody to see us to then give us a longer run on Broadway. It's certainly not a moneymaker. So I can see what Othello are doing. They want to make a $2.5 million a night. All right, that's a good idea. It's a good format.
And it's a 500-year-old play.
Yeah.
It's a 500-year-old play. It's not new. The creator isn't sitting there benefiting from this. His ancestors are not.
Yeah, Shakespeare wasn't charging $950 a ticket, was he?
No.
With inflation, maybe.
God, it was probably a shell or something back then. Christ, what was their currency?
Well, to be fair, the government was helping fund the arts at that point, and I really can't say we're getting that in America right now.
No, not right now.
Oof.
No.
Oof. Let's not get into that.
So regular people out there, save yourselves $900 and come and see our show.
Come see us.
Exactly. Now, I just want to move on now because one thing I watched of yours was the Charades DVD you did. And
holy shit.
Yeah, I know.
How did you get that? Good Lord.
Someone put it on YouTube last year. I'm sorry I didn't pay for it, but it was put on YouTube. So I watched it, right? But I sat there for about half an hour watching the menu, waiting for it to actually start. And it got me thinking, where do you begin?
Honestly, that was just off the top of our head. So we made a DVD. Our first DVD was Speed Mount, and DVDs were very, very new at the time. And the menu for that won a Promax award, whatever that is. We don't know what it is, but it won an award. And it was just Shane and I keep coming back. If you don't press anything, we keep coming back and going, what are you, blind? Oh, sorry, you are? Oh, just press the big... So the big button, it's probably the big button. Sorry. We just keep coming on and off. And that was just Shane and I as Umbilical Brothers leaving the frame and then just keeping recording and us just going, okay, maybe we just come in and do something.
Yeah, there was a lot of riffing.
Yeah, a lot. Pretty much all riffing. I don't remember writing anything for that. And the same for that charades thing. I'm sure that was the same. We would just go off and we'd think of something and come back on and do it.
What about this? What about this? And given that freedom. And again, it's the frame. Where are you in the edge of the frame? How much of you is in the frame? And that was very much the case with the Upside Down show, going to the question about lives on stage versus TV or film. For us, it is about what can the audience see. Yeah. And so there are camera gags. That's something to consider. The gag is the shot that close, or it's just this thing that's just peeking up at the bottom of the frame.
Or a character moving in besides Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Your current show, Distraction, seems to be giving the best of both worlds to that, allowing you to do live and camera comedy at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, because there are certain moments where we want the audience to look down. It's actually funnier to look at what we're doing on screen. Like Shane... I can't tell you how he does it, but he is a baby in a crib. I'm talking to a baby in a crib. You see my hand, my face over the top of the crib, and Shane somehow is the baby. And it's one of my favorite things in the show.
Well, you don't need to wear a wig for that one.
He does not.
No, that's right. Yeah, I can be a baby, a penis. Yeah.
Versatility.
If I could ask you too about just your process for a second, just in terms of like how much of your process is that you two just riff? Do you guys come in with scripts? Like you turn over so much material. How finished are things when they start, or is it just very raw and then developed from there?
Yeah, it's a lot of riffing. I'm cutting up some of a show we did on Sideshow a while ago with these white psych bits. None of it was worked out pre-show. We would just come in and just go, oh, what about this? And immediately do it. Our stage shows, normally we'd have just one routine. We'd have one routine, which was either we'd end with, it was a good end or a good start, and then we just give ourselves 2 weeks to just invent the show. And whatever it is, we just put it out in front of an audience, and we would never rehearse. We never stood in a room and just rehearse or made stuff up. We would just go in front of an audience, because only then do you know if it's funny or not. Even I had Shane over the other day and just to make some promotional videos, and we just put the video up, and then we went off and we went, hi, New York, we're coming New York, blah, blah, blah. And then we just came off and we went, oh, maybe it's... And I'm going through them, and I really don't have to edit that much. I could just put the whole videos on. We've still got that connection. It was really nice to see that after, 30-something years, it's still there.
It's a relaxed kind of state. You can hit really specific points as long as you're relaxed. So, we've got our personas kind of relaxed off the cuff guys, but we're hitting very specific things throughout. The audience doesn't see those things coming because we're just a couple of guys doing the thing, and we just happen to be in that spot at that second.
And honestly, with this show, The Distraction, the shit we do each night, people think is improvised, and the improvised bits people, it's the other, it's mixed. It's the other way around. You go, oh, I love that bit when you do that thing. And I say, well, I've never done that before. And hey, what? You're fooling them into thinking that it's being made up on the spot.
Gobsmacking to me because I watched the sideshow when it was on, and I've since in the past week sort of gone back and watched a lot of your old sketches, and I was sending it to Jonathan and some other friends of mine, and the precision that you guys need to do what you do, and the fact that you would go in and, oh, let's just do this thing, and you'd go like that. Like, what the hell? What sort of Satan ritual did that require?
Yeah, all of that stuff that was just created like a minute before we did it. The studio stuff, the precision that you really should be talking about is the cameras.
Yeah.
We would come in the afternoon and go, okay, we're thinking of doing this. That crew, we would often cut to different cameras, and they just a couple of times we'd go over it and they would memorize it and they would do it, and they were just brilliant.
They were fantastic. Yeah.
They were so brilliant.
They were really up for it. If you watch, I think it's called Something for the Children, I think that routine.
Yeah, that's the one.
We were very specific about where the shots would end and begin, how the framing was, and it was just all done live in front of an audience, and the cameras were ready.
Yeah, with the puppets, and it was just incredible. Yeah. Ted Emery was in the studio.
Ted Emery.
He did Fast Forward.
Yeah, he's kind of the Lorne Michaels of Australia. It's kind of put him in that zone. He's no longer really in the biz. I think he's moved out, but for many years he was that guy.
Yeah,
very cool guy.
Well, speaking of fast forward, sketch comedy feels like it has much shorter shelf life in Australia nowadays. What do you think's changed from those days of us? We hero worshipped Fast Forward and the Comedy Company, like,
didn't we?
They were massive shows. Even like some of the things said in those shows are still part of our lexicon today. Colloquialisms and stuff like that. What's changed? Has the audience changed? Has our humor changed, or?
Well, there are way more channels. Like the internet was not around then, so everyone gets their individual reality from wherever they want. There's a million realities flying around now, rather than just the three main networks. Those are the realities, you know.
I have not seen a sketch show for many, many years on Australian television. Yeah, what is that about? It's quite bizarre.
It's so disappointing.
I actually saw Effie the other night. Effie performed after us at the festival a couple of nights ago.
Queen.
She was exceptional. Mary Cooster, she was exceptional.
She's wonderful. I love her.
Yeah.
I think I have sent an invite to get her on this show too, because I love Effie.
Oh, she'd be great.
Oh
her show, she's got like 30 minutes of talking, and then it's improvised. The last section of her show is just completely improvised.
Wow. Effie, the character, was a very stereotypical Greek character on a show called Acropolis Now, where they were all very stereotypical Greeks, and it was hugely popular here. You put that on TV today, you got the left wing calling it racist, and you got the right wing calling it fucking woke.
Well, I firmly believe that's why like comedies don't tend to win like Academy Awards and things like that, because every comedy, no matter how well it is made, will have one element in it where if you look back at it 30 years later, you're like, oh my God, what were they thinking? They're monsters. But if you look back at Titanic, you're like, that's sad and beautiful, and it'll still be the same 30 years later.
Pretty funny though.
While we're talking about YouTube, how has the fact that now anyone can, like me, can go and watch your greatest hits for the past 20 years changed your comedy? Because it's not like it used to be. If you wanted to see old bits, you had to like buy the album or hope they did like a tour of their old material.
It's the weirdest thing, Jonathan. So we just started to just load everything out onto our socials, because this show is so different from everything else we've done. Now people come and see our show, but at the end of the show I say, any questions? And people they go, do the Velcro, do the tank routine. They want us to do the old routines, and it's just so weird for comedians, I guess is what you could call us. People want to see a whole routine again. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, they want to see something that they've seen the punchline to.
They've seen the punchline.
They want to see the album.
They want the hits. Yeah.
They want us to play the album. It's really interesting.
Which is great for us, because then we do it, and then we try and add sort of different things to make us laugh again. But some of those routines we've been doing for 30 years. It's hard to do a bit differently. But it's fun. But that happens each night.
It is sort of like, I'll use, Jonathan as an example. I'm sure if, when you get invited to do things, it's a School of Rock thing, or Caroline. She did Mary Poppins, and she toured it in the UK and USA as Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
So every concert she gets invited to do, it's, oh, can you do this Mary Poppins song?
Yeah.
It's that one thing. And they always give her the movie music, not the musical music. So she doesn't know the kind of movie music, does she? Because she did the musical. So she's like smiling, going, yes, I'll do that for you. And she sucks it up and does it like a true pro. So yeah, it must get frustrating.
See, I'm just honored that you think people ask me to do things.
True. I am literally the only one so far.
You and the English language sumo community, that's about it.
I got a little tiny story about a movie music. My sister-in-law was at a wedding, and the groom asked for the song from Robin Hood.
Everything I do, I'll do it for you.
What's that? You know, that really popular. Everything I do, yeah. They'd asked for the song from Robin Hood to be played for the first dance, and they're going, yeah, sure. So the band came up, and the bride and groom came up, and then the band went, Robin Hood, dancing through the glen. They'd learned the Robin Hood from a different movie.
Robin Hood, Robin Hood, Robin
The
Hood.
Disney one, the real folky music.
I was thinking you were about to sing the title song from Mel Brooks's Men in Tights, and then I thought it was going to get...
Man in tights. Yep. That would be brilliant. That's one last question I want to throw in there. You guys performed at Woodstock.
What?
Yeah.
99.
Yeah.
You're like literally the most qualified guests we've had on so far. This show, no offense to anyone else.
We're the reason why it ended up in flames.
Are you?
We went on second after James Brown and killed with a routine we made 10 minutes before we went on about being drug inspectors. And then we went to the East Stage, and there was only a few thousand people there. It was a much meaner sort of looking crowd and younger. And the music wasn't James Brown. It was much harder.
Grunge.
Yeah, it was heavy rock. Yeah.
And we went, God, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Oh, no. And we thought, we'd better just do something old, something that we know works. And we came out, and it was something that takes a while to start, and people are already yelling, fuck off! What the fuck is this shit? You suck! Like so clearly. It was so we had one of the best gigs and one of the worst gigs of our lives within 20 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
It was hideous. Yeah. Great fun.
I mean, who knew heavy rock fans wouldn't be interested in a couple of mimes in the middle of their experience?
Well, I'm sure they definitely will be now after listening to this episode, if any metalheads actually listen to this show, because I know musical fans do, but I still don't know. If any metalheads, please show yourselves already. Yes, but guys, what an honor to have you on the show. It really is.
Absolutely.
An honor to be on your show.
Yeah, thank you.
You've been a fixture in all our houses for, however many years. I don't want to date any of us, but we're clearly, of a certain age. So you've been around for 30-something years on my television, and you sitting here is absolutely surreal. I'm so proud to see that you've been on Colbert and Leno and Letterman, and, because we're always rooting for Australians to succeed. Yes, so thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yay.
Lovely.
This has been absolutely lovely. We can't wait till you're going to be here in 5 days, right, to start your shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so will we see you on the Friday 10 o'clock show, Jonathan? You're going to come? We're going to go to the Old Mates pub earlier on and have a drink and a feed, probably be drunk ourselves. So why don't you come with us?
All right. I'll please grab my email from Aaron. I'd love to hang out with you guys at all.
Rock and roll. Let's go.
Yeah.
And if you want to come out, if you guys have any free time to come on out to Second City, New York, let me know.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
Oh, yeah, rock and roll. Yeah, please.
Love it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Hells yeah.
And then when that happens, I get to sit here in fucking Melbourne and go, I set that up.
It was all you.
Thank you, Aaron.
What sort
Thank
of
you,
world am I living in that sort of shit is happening all the time?
Thank you, Aaron. Love you.
That's gross as me. But anyways, I'll let you guys go because we've kept you over. But yeah, so I'll put all the details, socials and all that.
We've got to go to a theatre now. We've got to drive to a theatre and make a whole theatre of people laugh.
Yeah.
Have an amazing show.
Well, chuckers.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll do.
Yeah.
We always
Awesome.
do.
All right, I'll take care.
Ciao.
Lovely to see you. I'll see you next week.
Yep.
Yeah, see you then. Awesome.
Alrighty, a huge thank you to Shane and David, otherwise known as the Umbilical Brothers, for joining us. And I wasn't at all drowning amongst three very funny people. But you can catch their show, The Distraction, that's playing at the Actors Temple from May 23rd onwards. I'll put the details in the description below where you can click and buy tickets for that. Remember, buy tickets on the balcony because then you've got the best view for that. I'll also put the details for their socials down below, which I believe on Instagram is at Umbilical Bros, but don't quote me on that. So look in the description below. You can find Jonathan at Mr. J-Wags, or on YouTube at Mr. J-Wags channel, where you can find his show, The Dohyo, which is all about sumo, as well as catching his work at the Second City, New York City. You can buy the Toniston Tales and read the Toniston Tales and check out my other shows on my own network, including Talk Musicals to Me and Around the World in 80 Plays, which you heard snippets of in the ad breaks. Anyways, again, a huge thank you to the Umbilical Brothers and to Kay Tuckerman for her help. Again, what an angel. You at home, you take care, you look after yourselves, and we shall see you next time.
Like